What are the two best light blue fragrances of all time? Let's talk about it. Hey friends, John here from Proverbs 27:9 Fragrances, and today we are talking about the two best light blue fragrances of all time. If you would, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, we say thank you so much for joining us for our videos and being a part of this fragrance community. Make sure you have the notifications turned on. That way you're notified every time we upload that sweet smelling fragrance related content. All right, so the blue fragrance genre is the most popular fragrance category for men, I would say, of at least the past 10 years. When we're thinking about blue fragrances, fragrances like Bleu de Chanel, Dior Sauvage, Paco Rabanne, Invictus, and the list goes on and on. Blue fragrances are very wearable, easy reach. Typically, they, have, ambers or at least ambroxan or, woods and citruses. They're notes that are mass appealing and can be worn in multiple seasons. Pretty much, most of the year. But when you really think about it, this fragrance category, blue fragrance, the most worn, the best selling fragrance category, it really needs to be split into two categories. And the way I split it is you've got the dark blues and you've got the light blues. And the dark blue category would be the ones that are categorized by more of heavier woods, spices and pepper, tonka, sweetness, fragrances like Bleu de Chanel, Eau de Parfum, Dior Sauvage, Versace Dylan Blue, Jean Paul Gaultier Ultramall, and etc. Where today's video, we're going to be focusing on the other part of the blue fragrance genre, and that is the light blues. And light blue fragrances are known more for citruses, lighter woods and musks, salty aquatic notes, and some florals. So that being said, the heavy hitters in the light blue genre, of course, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue, Versace Pour Homme, Nautica Voyage, which for some reason is the #1 selling fragrance on Amazon. I don't care for it, but Jeremy Fragrance does. Acqua di Gio Essenza, and that's just to name a few. But after smelling and wearing, what feels like 100 different ones, bottles and samples and things, I've narrowed it down to what I feel are the best two light blue fragrances. I'm going to name a runner-up here before I do. And my runner-up in this category is from a fragrance house that I have not given much love to, but Gentlemen Only by Givenchy. I think this is a great light blue fragrance, but it didn't make the final two, but I did want to mention it as probably my favorite runner-up. So what are the two? I mean, I've already showed you bottles, but you may not know exactly which ones of the flankers and the lines I've chosen. My two favorite from the light blue line is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense and YSL Y EDT and that is the original. Let me see here. I'm gonna put my scale over here and use that to kind of, rather than start messing with the camera, I'm gonna just get them up a little higher so we can see them there. So this is the 2017 version, not the 22 reformulation, but the original YSL YEDT and Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense. Why did I pick these? Because of, like, for instance, I'm not saying that these are the two best from their lines. You know, I don't want somebody saying, oh, well, Light Blue Forever is better than Eau Intense. It may be, I don't particularly think it is, but Light Blue Forever does not smell as much like a light blue style fragrance. That's what I'm getting at. Why Eau de Parfum may be a lot better fragrance, but it's a dark blue fragrance. YEDT is definitely a light blue. And remember, light blue genre, lighter woods, creamier woods, citruses, florals, and salty marine notes. That's what categorizes a fragrance as a light blue fragrance. So, I guess let's tell you a little bit about each one of them. I'll just kind of give you the rundown on them. Light Blue Eau Intense, first of all. 2000, let's see. Light Blue was a 2007 release, so Light Blue Eau Intense was a 2017 release, of course, by the famous Alberto Morillas, which I believe he was the perfumer on the original Light Blue as well. Top notes are grapefruit and mandarin orange. Middle notes, seawater and juniper. Base notes, musk and amberwood. And we're doing this one a little bit different, so before I talk about it, now let's look at the note breakdown on YSL. Again, the original EDT. Here we're looking at another 2017 release. Dominique Ropion was the perfumer. Top notes, and this has a much more broad note listing. Aldehydes, bergamot, ginger, mint, lemon. Middle notes, apple, violet leaf, sage, pineapple, geranium. Base notes, ambergris, musk, cedar, vetiver, balsam fir, and incense. So, two very different note breakdowns. You only get a few listed here. You get the majority probably of the notes listed here. But these are very similar smelling fragrances. Let me I've got the dry downs. I've got the left hand is the Eau Intense, and so I'll just keep them together. And Dolce & Gabbana, I've got several of the Pour Homme fragrances. You know, Pour Homme, Intenso. I love the bottles. I love the atomizers are good. They're not great. With Light Blue Eau Intense, in the opening you get heavy citruses. You get the grapefruit a little more prominent than the mandarin orange in the very opening. As it goes to dry down, the grapefruit goes away more quickly. You can smell the orange note throughout the life of the fragrance until it just, is absolutely fading away. But the mandarin orange sticks around a lot longer. But it's very, again, salty, musky, great, for being in the heat, in the sun, on the sand. It just gives you those vibes of being at the beach. Why am I doing this in the middle of winter? My family likes to be snowbirds, and about December we start getting the itch to go get out of this cold weather, and we go down to Florida, spend a week or two, and that's where we're heading next week. The atomizer is better on the YSL. The bottle is nice. It's got that Y, built into it. You may think it's tacky. I think it's fine. It's a nice heavy duty, pretty bottle. YSL is a very classy company. With the opening of Y, you don't get as much citrus blast as you do with light blue. Of the two openings, I prefer the light blue opening to the Y opening. Now, the way these two, did I give you? Yeah, I gave you the note breakdown for Y. So these two are not linear scents. Both of these transition multiple times. So I like light blue, intense, a little better in the very opening. After about 10 minutes, when everything starts to kind of fade down and they kind of go into the first transition, I made a note that I started liking Y a little bit better. I thought, okay, Y I think is going to wind up being the winner. When it's all said and done, you get more of a dry down than you have the opening. But then about 30 minutes in, they transitioned again, started smelling a little bit different nuances. In the light blue, the juniper started kind of bringing in this balsamic kind of green aromatic tone that really changed the way the fragrance was smelling, and I started liking it a little bit in what I call the second transition. And both of these fragrances really have about 4 different phases that they go through before they finally settle down into their skin scent, where it's just kind of a creamy, woody base with subtle nuances from each one of them. And when the Y, in that first transition for the Y, first of all, on the Y, aldehydes in the opening, it smells just like clean linen, okay? And so it was not, in the opening, to me, is not as interesting as the light blue. Because in the light blue, you get that blast of citruses, the grapefruit and the orange, but then you also you're getting that sea salt. You're getting that feeling like you're at the beach and everything. You can smell some musk in the background. There's not a lot of florals that stick out in light blue. But then when the aldehydes and the top notes started fading off of it, it got much more interesting. It went from smelling like, just kind of a typical laundry type freshener smell to all of a sudden the fruit started coming out, the apple and the pineapple, and was kind of mixing with the woods and the vetiver and everything, and really got real interesting. And honestly, I've kind of liked, I would say the middle, since there's 2 transitions, I give the mid edge to Y. It's a little more interesting. It's a little more drastic in the transitions. So, just a little more interesting in the mid. But when you get to the straight dry down of them, I think I swung back to the light blue. They both smell super clean. But in the complete dry down, and honestly, they dry down pretty quickly. Neither one of these are great performers, but I think light blue intense smelled a little more interesting in the complete dry down. You still retained some of that orange citrus note. There's still some of that green juniper there. You've got the musk and the amber wood, the woody base there. And so in the complete dry down, I felt like light blue intense smelled a little better. It also performed a little better. The projection was better on light blue, and it lasted longer than the white EDT. Although neither one of them, and really anything in the light blue genre, is not meant to be a really loud, really heavy, beast of a fragrance, because they're what the name suggests. This is when you're looking for something light. And the more you put these heat on these, the better they perform and project. So when I get down in Florida and I take these two with me and wear them, they're going to be a lot more better performance and better projection. But I think all in all, I'm giving the edge as the best light blue fragrance to Light Blue Eau Intense. They're both 5-star fragrances in my mind, but there's got to be a winner. And so my choice as the best light blue fragrance of all time, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense. Let me know what you think. Your list may not have even included these. That's the thing about scent, is that it's so subjective, and our noses are all different. We all smell different things. So let me know what you think. The phone's ringing. There's no way for me to stop it other than to stop the video. Subscribe, do all those things. Until we see you down the road, I say God bless. Frag on, Frag fam.